I set a trap for my thieving mother-in-law, but my husband kicked me out for embarrassing her. Here's the story. My life, once a predictable rhythm of domesticity and quiet joy, shattered into a cacophony of betrayal and disbelief. I, 32F, had constructed what I thought was a rock-solid foundation. A comfy home, a seemingly loving husband, Mark, 35M, and two furry overlords, Mr. Whiskers and Luna, whose purrs were the soundtrack to my contentment. We had plans, the whole shebang. Kids, a bigger house someday, growing old together on the porch swing. Yeah, I know, I was naive AF. But lurking in the shadows of this idyllic scene was Brenda, 60s F, Mark's mother, a woman whose saccharine sweetness masked a core of manipulative boundary stomping and, to my increasing horror, thieving tendencies. I'd always craved a big, close family, because growing up as a lonely only child, let's just say it wasn't a picnic. For years, subtle anomalies began to disrupt the order of our home. Small, seemingly inconsequential items would vanish: a handcrafted pen my bestie made me, a luxurious scented candle I splurged on, a birthday gift card with a generous balance from my aunt. Initially, I brushed them off, blaming my own forgetfulness or the general chaos of life. Where the heck did I put that? I'd mutter, frantically searching. Sometimes, I'd even start to wonder if I was losing my marbles. Was I getting early onset dementia? That was a terrifying thought, let me tell you. But as the disappearances escalated, cherished pieces of jewelry, a beloved silk scarf my sister brought back from Italy, even a bottle of rare bourbon gifted to Mark by his discerning boss, a disturbing pattern emerged, a chilling realization that something more sinister was afoot. My stomach would clench into a knot every time Brenda's car pulled into the driveway. My suspicions solidified during a particularly tense visit when my grandmother's antique locket, a precious heirloom passed down for generations, vanished from its secure hiding place, a little velvet box tucked away in my underwear drawer. Mark, ever the dutiful son, dismissed my mounting concerns with a dismissive wave of his hand and a patronizing smile. Mom wouldn't do something like that, you're just being paranoid. He said it so calmly, like I was the crazy one, but I wasn't paranoid. I knew. I was methodical. I began meticulously documenting each missing item, noting the exact dates and circumstances surrounding their disappearance in a little notebook I kept hidden. It was my secret weapon, my proof. Pages and pages of dates, times, and missing items, a stark, undeniable truth emerged. Every single incident coincided with Brenda's presence in our home. When I confronted Mark with my meticulously compiled evidence, pages and pages of dates, times, and missing items, he went full-on defensive, accusing me of attacking his mother's character and fabricating stories to create drama. He practically yelled at me, his face turning crimson. Frustrated and feeling utterly dismissed, like my feelings didn't even register, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I was shaking with anger, but I knew I had to be smart. I purchased a discreet, hidden security camera, disguised as an innocent decorative plant. It looked freakishly real, and strategically placed it in the living room, right across from the bookshelf where I kept some of my valuables. Brenda was scheduled for dinner the following week, and I was determined to expose her duplicity. I was going to catch her red-handed. Dinner proceeded with an air of strained normalcy, a delicate dance of forced pleasantries and underlying tension. I could barely choke down a bite. Brenda's saccharine compliments and thinly veiled digs were as predictable as they were infuriating. "Oh, my name, this casserole is interesting," she'd say with a tight smile. As Mark excused himself to deal with his sister's restless kids, who were thankfully staying at a hotel, I feigned a trip to the kitchen to prepare coffee, my heart pounding in my chest. But instead, I retreated to my phone, monitoring the live feed from the hidden camera. My hands were sweating so much I could barely grip my phone. What I witnessed left me reeling, a sickening confirmation of my deepest fears. Brenda, after ensuring Mark was safely out of sight, began her habitual snooping, a practiced routine of intrusion. She moved like a predator, deliberate and silent. She rifled through my purse, methodically searched the living room drawers, her fingers twitching, and then, with breathtaking audacity, she located my grandmother's locket, carefully concealed within a velvet-lined jewelry box. She examined it with a predatory gaze, a glint of satisfaction in her eyes before slipping it into her handbag. It was all there, in crystal clear video. A surge of incandescent rage, a white-hot fury coursed through me. I felt like I was going to explode. I marched into the living room, phone in hand, and held it aloft, the live feed playing on the screen. "Brenda," I said, my voice icy and resolute, "you're a thief." I played the footage on the television, the evidence undeniable. Brenda's face drained of color, turning a sickly shade of gray, her carefully crafted facade crumbling. Mark rushed into the room, his expression a mixture of confusion and dawning horror. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. "What's going on?" he demanded, his voice laced with confusion. He stared, utterly bewildered. I replayed the footage, the damning evidence displayed for all to see. "Mark, she stole my grandmother's locket." My voice was trembling, but I stood my ground. Mark's gaze shifted between the screen and his mother, his face a mask of disbelief and dawning comprehension. Brenda, ever the consummate actress, burst into tears, claiming I was framing her, that I was a terrible daughter-in-law trying to ruin her reputation, and that I had set her up. She was wailing, a truly pathetic sight. Instead of demanding an explanation from his mother, Mark turned on me, his voice a venomous hiss. "What is this? My name?" he roared. "You set a trap for my mother? You filmed her without her consent? This is a gross invasion of privacy." He was actually defending her. "She stole from me, Mark. I have irrefutable proof," I cried, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger, disbelief, and a growing sense of dread. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. "That doesn't matter. You embarrassed her in her own son's house," he retorted, his voice rising in righteous indignation. He was completely irrational. He demanded I apologize for my disrespectful behavior. I refused, my resolve hardening. I wouldn't apologize for exposing a thief. Brenda, still weeping crocodile tears, declared she was so hurt and never expected this betrayal. She was laying it on thick. Mark, in a move that still baffles me, ordered me to pack a bag and leave. He needed time to think, he said, and I had betrayed his trust. Betrayed his trust? Seriously? Stunned, heartbroken, and utterly betrayed, I packed a few essential belongings, my hands shaking so badly I could barely fold my clothes. My head was spinning. I gathered my bewildered cats, Mr. Whiskers and Luna, who seemed to sense the tension in the air, and sought refuge at my friend Sarah's apartment. The cats were unusually quiet, huddled together in their carrier. The outpouring of support from Reddit has been overwhelming, a lifeline in my sea of despair. I never anticipated so many people relating to my MIL horror story. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the best. Mark has remained stubbornly silent, a chilling testament to his unwavering loyalty to his mother. Not a single call, text, or missed call. Radio silence. He did, however, change his Facebook status to "It's complicated," a passive-aggressive declaration that did little to alleviate my pain. More like, "It's over, buddy." Sarah has been my unwavering rock, providing a safe haven and endless support. She's been through a nasty divorce herself, so she gets it. She even made me her famous lasagna, which is my ultimate comfort food. She also helped me find a lawyer, Miss Evans, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who confirmed I had a strong case for divorce, especially with the video evidence. She also advised me to gather financial documents and evidence of Mark's emotional neglect, a painful but necessary task. It felt like digging through the wreckage of my life. I filed a police report regarding the stolen items. They took my statement and promised to investigate, although their tone suggested Brenda was a known quantity in the small town we lived in. Apparently, she had a reputation. Brenda, meanwhile, has taken to Facebook, playing the victim with cryptic posts about betrayal and unforgiveness. Her enablers, a chorus of equally manipulative individuals, are rallying around her, painting me as the villain who dared to expose their queen. It's like a twisted, real-life soap opera. I'm trying to avoid social media, but it's a losing battle. The constant tags and notifications are a relentless assault on my already frayed nerves. I'm starting to realize Mark's reaction wasn't merely about embarrassment. It's about his unwavering devotion to his mother, even at my expense. A devotion that borders on pathological. He's always been a mama's boy, but I never imagined he'd choose her over me, a chilling testament to the depth of his enmeshment. I think he's been conditioned since he was a kid. I remember seeing a picture of him as a little boy, clinging to Brenda's leg while she glared at his father. It gave me chills. He never even wanted kids, citing he didn't want to mess up his sleep. Seriously? Dude was obsessed with his beauty sleep. I'm beginning to think I've dodged a bullet, a near miss with a lifetime of misery. If he can't see his mother for the manipulative thief she is, he's not the man I thought he was, and I'm better off without him. I deserve someone who will stand by me, not his thieving mother. Then, I went back to the house with Sarah as a witness, and for moral support, to retrieve more of my belongings, items that held sentimental value and a sense of normalcy. Things like my photo albums, my grandmother's quilt, and my favorite books. The locks had been changed, a clear indication of Mark's intent to cut me off completely. We called the police, who arrived and helped us gain entry. The officer was very sympathetic, thankfully. The house was ransacked, a scene of calculated chaos. It looked like a tornado had ripped through it. My clothes were scattered across the floor, ripped and torn. My jewelry box was empty, and my personal documents were missing, a chilling violation of my privacy. Sarah gasped when she saw the mess. "Oh my God, my name," she said, her voice full of shock and anger. "This is insane." On the kitchen counter, I found a note from Brenda, written in her familiar, elegant script. "You shouldn't have embarrassed me. Now you'll pay." It was like something out of a horror movie, straight out of some cheesy slasher flick. I called the police again, showing them the note, a tangible threat. They added it to the report, their faces grim. The officer looked like he wanted to arrest her on the spot. You could see the righteous anger in his eyes. I also discovered Mark had emptied our joint bank account, leaving me destitute. A move that was not only financially devastating, but also a profound act of betrayal. This wasn't just theft, it was a calculated act of cruelty, a power play designed to punish me for daring to expose his mother. I felt a wave of bile rise in my throat. He had left me with nothing, like I was some kind of disposable object. The note from Brenda was a chilling declaration of war, a stark reminder of the lengths she was willing to go to maintain her control. My lawyer, Miss Evans, advised immediate divorce proceedings, seeking not just asset division, but also spousal support, given Mark's financial betrayal. She also suggested a restraining order against both Brenda and Mark, given his complicity in her actions. Miss Evans was a shark. I knew I was in good hands, like having a pit bull in a tailored suit on my side. The emotional toll was immense, a relentless barrage of anger, hurt, and fear. Sleep was elusive, food was unappetizing, and every sound sent my heart racing. I had vivid nightmares where Brenda and Mark conspired to steal everything from me, my cats, my identity, my very sense of self. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding like a drum solo. My hair started falling out in clumps like autumn leaves in a hurricane. I lost weight I couldn't afford to lose, my clothes hanging off me like on a scarecrow. I even broke out in hives, which I hadn't had since I was a kid, a physical manifestation of the stress, my skin a roadmap of my misery. I was a mess, a walking disaster zone. The police arrested Brenda. They discovered a pattern of theft stretching back years, a veritable treasure trove of stolen goods in her home. They found items belonging to neighbors, friends, even other family members. Mark finally called, a blubbering mess, claiming ignorance and begging for forgiveness. He said he had no idea his mother was a kleptomaniac and that he was so sorry for everything. He even tried to blame it on his childhood, saying Brenda had always been controlling. I hung up. I couldn't even stand to hear his voice. It was like nails on a chalkboard. He then threatened legal action, claiming I had ruined his family's reputation, a laughable assertion given his mother's criminal behavior. He was delusional, living in some kind of fantasy land. The investigation revealed Brenda had been draining her elderly mother's accounts. Her predatory nature was evident. It turned out Mark had been manipulated by her for years, his previous relationship sabotaged by her insidious influence. She'd find some flaw in every woman he dated, whispering poison in his ear until he broke it off. The divorce was a bitter, protracted battle. It was exhausting and emotionally draining, like running a marathon in quicksand. Mark tried to paint me as mentally unstable, a desperate attempt to discredit my testimony. He even brought up that time I accidentally locked myself out of the house in my pajamas, claiming I was forgetful and unreliable. The judge, however, saw through his lies, granting me the house, a significant portion of our savings, what was left of it anyway, and spousal support, a just recompense for his betrayal. The courtroom scene was intense. Mark kept glaring at me, but I refused to make eye contact like he was a Medusa. The judge slammed his gavel and said, "Order," more than once. Brenda was convicted and sentenced to prison, a fitting end to her reign of manipulation and theft. Mark, now isolated and financially crippled, tried to contact me again, his pleas for forgiveness ringing hollow. He sent me a long, rambling email saying he had finally realized how toxic his mother was and that he was seeking therapy. I told him to go to hell, a final, definitive rejection. I blocked his number and his email, like cutting off a gangrenous limb. I moved to a new city, a fresh start, a blank canvas. I needed to get away from all the memories, all the whispers, like escaping a haunted house. I bought a small house, a cozy little bungalow with a big backyard for the cats, adopted a third cat, a fluffy ginger tabby I named Marmalade, and started a new job, a career I had always dreamed of but had put on hold for Mark. I became a freelance writer, something I could do from home, in my pajamas if I wanted to. I focused on therapy, rebuilding my shattered sense of self, and reconnecting with the friends and family I had neglected during my years with Mark. My therapist helped me understand the concept of enmeshment and how it had affected my relationship with Mark, like unraveling a tangled ball of yarn. I learned to set boundaries, to recognize red flags, and to value my own worth. I learned that I was stronger than I ever thought possible, that I deserved to be treated with respect, and that I was capable of building a happy and fulfilling life on my own. I joined a book club, started taking yoga classes, and even made a few new friends. It was slow, but I was starting to feel like myself again, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And then I met Liam. It was at a local coffee shop. I was working on my laptop, and he spilled his coffee on me. A classic meet cute, but completely accidental. He was everything Mark wasn't: kind, supportive, respectful, and genuinely interested in my happiness. He listened to me, valued my opinions, and made me feel safe and loved, like a warm blanket on a cold night. He was a breath of fresh air, a gentle reminder that not all men were manipulative and self-serving. He was a cat lover, a talented cook. He made the best pasta, and a man who valued honesty and integrity. He told me up front he was never married and didn't have kids, but would love to, like he was laying all his cards on the table. The cat's immediate acceptance of him felt like a powerful endorsement. Mr. Whiskers, Luna, and Marmalade all took to him immediately. He treated them with respect and affection, and they responded in kind, purring and rubbing against his legs whenever he came over. It was a sign, I think. It wasn't easy at first. I was hesitant to trust again, always looking for red flags like a seasoned detective on a stakeout. But Liam was patient and understanding. He never pressured me, and he always listened when I talked about my past, like he was holding my broken pieces together. He even helped me hang pictures in my new house, a small act of kindness that meant the world to me, like he was helping me build my new life, brick by brick. I've learned so much from this experience, this harrowing journey through betrayal and self-discovery. I've learned that I'm more resilient than I ever imagined, that I deserve to be treated with respect, and that I'm capable of building a happy and fulfilling life on my own terms. I even burned Brenda's awful note in a little fire pit in my backyard. It felt good to watch it turn to ashes, like finally closing a toxic chapter. To anyone going through a similar situation, a situation where you feel trapped, betrayed, and utterly alone, I want to say this: don't give up. Don't let anyone dim your light. You are not alone, and you will find your way. You will find your strength, your voice, and your happiness. Trust me, it gets better. You're a freaking warrior, even if you don't feel like one right now. Thank you all for your unwavering support. Your comments, your messages, and your shared experiences helped me through the darkest time in my life, and I will never forget it. You reminded me that I wasn't alone, that I wasn't crazy, and that I deserved better. You gave me the strength to move forward, to rebuild my life, and to find happiness again. You guys are the real MVPs. And if Brenda's reading this, yeah, you messed with the wrong kitty-loving writer. If you thought that was crazy, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. And if you didn't quite enjoy it, feel free to hit the dislike. Your feedback means a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or share your own experiences. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more insane tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.